Gamer Braves. What's up guys, it's One from Game Braves. So right after we filmed the last video, they announced a state of play for Final Fantasy XVI with 20 minutes of new footage.
皆さんこんにちは。Final Fantasy XVI プロデューサーの吉田です。
And we got some new stuff. Now most of the information they presented was stuff they already announced, like FF16 having a training mode and whatever. They also showed us some more icon gameplay, and that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. Now, we've covered most of the icons already. In our first hands-on, we talked about Titan, we talked about Phoenix, we talked about Garuda, and then in our last video, we talked about Bahamut and Odin. However, this time, they've shown us more gameplay for Shiva and Ramuh, which is convenient because those are the two icons whose dominants are in your party, Jill and Sid. We have a lot of footage of both of them to go through, but it's pretty easy to see what the gist of each of them are. Conveniently, just like how Odin and Bahamut have the same structure but for different goals, Shiva and Ramuh both seem to have playstyles that are based around crowd control. They're good at dealing with big crowds of enemies. In Ramuh's case, his iconic ability is called Blind Justice. And when you activate it, Clive goes into this kind of Kingdom Hearts tree style stance where he gets a crosshair and gets to mark enemies with it. So you can target multiple enemies with it and then hit the exact button to fire lightning bolts at people. That's already pretty great on its own, but in the gameplay, they also showed the skill tree description for Blind Justice, and it mentions that it spawns a lightning orb that sticks to the enemy, and every time that enemy takes damage, the lightning bolt will also do additional damage to them. It's a pretty rad way to ensure that every jobber that comes after you actually stays dead. It's even better when you combine it with his other skills, like Pile Driver, which is a big AoE attack that hits all around Clive. At first, it seems kind of boring, it's literally just doing damage, but my guess is you're supposed to be using it after Blind Justice. You proc the extra hits and do more damage. Additionally, you can also do combo stuff with the other icon abilities. The other skill he has is Thundercloud, and there's a really interesting clip in the footage that shows its practical applications. It's basically just an air juggle, and in the gameplay footage, they already show you like how you can deny your enemies any kind of gravity with this, because you can use Odin to keep people up in the air and then continue the juggle with Ramuh. Now that we've gotten purple Ian McKellen out of the way, let's talk about the one you degenerates are actually here for, Shiva. Surprisingly enough, all of the Shiva-based skills have nothing to do with her exposed underarms. There is a neat little detail. Whenever Clive is using a Shiva skill, he gains a new cape because all of her skills are tied to using that cape for stuff. Her iconic ability is called Cold Snap, and it seems to work in the opposite way that Phoenix Shift does. Cold Snap instead moves through groups of enemies and then damages all the ones they go through. This is good for doing ice damage and just general dealing with crowds because you can use it as a good reposition. Now, it took me a while to go through all of Shiva's footage to see what exactly she does, because she's not just a throw elemental damage around icon, she's actually a very good combo setter. The footage shows Clive using two skills whenever he's using Shiva. The first one is called Mesmerize, which pretty much looks like Better Deadly Embrace. It can pull multiple enemies in and is great because it clumps them all together for doing big damage. The other one is Ice Age. Ice Age itself does a big MOBA-like fan of ice damage that you need to charge. We also did get to see another skill which is called Rhyme. This appears to just set up a pylon looking thing that does additional damage to enemies. It plays into the game's theory of how they want their combat to work. There are skills that are good and there are skills that help other icon skills work together. Basically, because you're only allowed to have 3 icons in at any one time, you want to make sure to have one that has lots of fast hits, one that has AoE capabilities, and one that's your favorite, I guess. That's basically the new information on 2 more icons coming to Final Fantasy XVI. I did also want to have a quick correction from the last video, which is about Bahamut. Now, in the last video, we assumed that Bahamut built his Mega Flare meter by doing ranged attacks as sort of like a counter to Odin building up his Zentatsuken meter by doing melee attacks. However, going through the footage for this, you see Clive shooting a lot while he's in Bahamut mode, but the meter never goes up, which makes me think that it's actually built around the dodge. It's really interesting because it's the only thing that doesn't have an analog in Devil May Cry. There's no characters that specifically require you to dodge to build any kind of meter, aside from, I guess, Virgil, but you know, he also has a bunch of other ways to build meter other than getting the perfect dodge every time. Anyways, let us know which icon you're looking forward to the most in Final Fantasy XVI. This has been One from the Game Braves. Take care, guys. Thank you so much for watching our videos. Don't forget to give us a subscribe if you'd like to see more, and like so we know what kind of content you want to see. Got suggestions for new content? Let us know in the comments below too. Thank you so much again for watching. Take care, dudes.